Well, good morning, tubers. We're going to attempt to adjust the valves on this thing. I think I got an exhaust valve sticking on this side. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to pull plugs because they probably need cleaning anyway. This thing runs so rich at idle. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull the plugs. And we'll pull the bail on the engine, on the valve cover here. See if we can get it out of there with the exhaust on there. I think these just go down. I don't know, I've never had one of these on. I think I figured it out. It will fit out of there. I just wasn't doing it right. Okay. So this one is being pushed. So we got to take it to number one, top dead center. I'm going to actually go ahead and take the plugs out of the other side so I can roll it over easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, the bolt on the pulley is of course metric, and I don't have a metric socket big enough, but 1 1/4 is close enough to roll it over, especially with no compression. So okay, so this cylinder is now where it should be. And we'll just take the feeler gauge. I looked in the shop manual, and this is supposed to be 6/1000 cold, both intake and exhaust. So if it's 6 or a little bigger, I'm going to leave it. And that's a little tight. On the exhaust. The intake feels good. The exhaust is a little tight. I can't get the 6 in there. Now we need to get a wrench. I think Hamblin said that was 13 millimeters. Oh, let's see. It is 13 millimeters. So crack that loose. Get my 6 back out here. And just loosen the screw. Until the 6 goes. Which is right there. It's got a little drag on it. And we just hold the screw and tighten the nut. And there's 6/1000. So both of those are 6/1000. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 6 valves, and then maybe we'll do a compression check on it and see what we got. Hey guys, welcome back. The other side was about the same. The intakes were loose and the exhausts were tight, not by a lot. So I got ahead and got my compression hose hooked in here. Got the gauge hooked up. I've disconnected the wire to the resistor pack so the injectors won't fire. And I disconnected the wire to the fuel pump so we won't build any fuel pressure, and we'll be able to roll it over. And I should probably disconnect the wire to the ignition coil just so it's not trying to fire the plugs. There. Now we don't have to worry about that. So now the idea here is you roll it over like 3 or 4 times and see what the highest reading is, and this will hold it. So let me see if you guys can see this. Yeah, okay. So this is the cylinder on passenger side towards the rear. I don't know what number that is. Looks like cylinder, I have these marked. 2 maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't know. About 100. Not bad for an engine with 100,000 miles on it. Don't cross threaded in the aluminum. Kind of hard to do this. The plugs are way down in here, inside this heat shield here. And here we go again. This looks like cylinder 1. That one's about 118, 115. So that's a little better than the cylinder 2. I suspect that the cylinder 2's got a slightly burnt valve. It wasn't real tight or anything, but you can see fire shooting out the exhaust when it runs. A lot more than the other side. So I'm assuming that maybe that's got a bad valve in it. So we might end up pulling this apart someday. So I'm going to go ahead and compression check the other side and see what we got. Alright, tubers, we're back. The other side was about the same as cylinder 1. Just about 120, about 118, 120. So this cylinder is definitely the one with the problem. It's only got just about 100. I'm going to show you a neat little secret that you can tell a lot about the engine if you've got a problem with it without tearing into it. If you got a compression gauge and you got low compression, this one has a quick connect on it that's the same as my air compressor. So what you do is, in the end of this hose that goes down in the head is your Schrader valve, like on your tire. You take the Schrader valve out, then you screw this down into the head, into the spark plug hole, and you can put air pressure on here. When you put air pressure on here, it'll let you know what's going on. You got to put the cylinder at top dead center, and you've got to be right on. So if you're a little bit off, it'll roll the engine over when you put the air pressure in. So I've got this right at top dead center on cylinder 2 or 3 or whatever this. I think it's 2, but I don't know. So you got it right at top dead center here. You put air pressure in, and if you hear it in the intake, it's a bad intake valve or stuck intake valve. If you hear it in the exhaust, the air leak, it's a bad exhaust valve. And if you can hear it into the crankcase, a tiny little bit into the crankcase is probably acceptable. But if you can hear air rushing into the crankcase, there's either a hole in the piston or bad rings. So we'll hook this up here, and we already know what's going to happen. You got a bad exhaust valve. You can hear it coming right out the exhaust. So it's probably a burnt valve, and that kind of sucks. But anyway, I was thinking I might try to fiddle with the valve a little bit, tap on it, make sure it's seating all the way. There could be rust on the shank that's holding it open a little bit, but I doubt it because the lash on this was pretty close. You know, if there was rust holding that valve open, you'd have 10 thousandths gap in there, 15 thousandths or something, and we don't have that. So that's definitely bad. It's probably got a burnt valve. Could be a bad seat, but it's probably a burnt valve. I think VWs are known for that. If you don't keep the lash adjusted right, being that they're an air-cooled engine, they do run hotter. And they do tend to burn exhaust valves, especially if you keep the lash too tight. And all the exhaust valves were a little bit tight, not terribly so, but when these things heat up, the aluminum expands a lot more than the steel will. And you'll take that, if that was only 4 thousandths, you'll take that right up. So, looking like we got a bad valve. It's only going to get worse, because once there's a spot for the flame to go through, it'll just burn it away just like a cutting torch. So probably won't be running it a lot. I hate to take the seats out of it, but I don't really know what I'm ever going to do with this engine. Like I said, I do have a gasket set, so I may pull it apart someday when there's nothing else to do. And see what we can do with it. Be interesting to tear it down, clean it all up, paint it, get it nice, then maybe sell it or something. I don't know. I don't really have any plans for it, but anyway, bad news, I guess. So Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.